this whole thing with the Knicks, it reminded me of the '90s Knicks with Miami. I mean, it was it was a hard play game. These guys were going at it from the tip to the last shot, and the last time, other than the previous game, because Miami now swept the Knicks in these two games. That we saw Miami is when, you remember, Jimmy Butler didn't play, Tyler Hero didn't play.
Oh, that Tyler Hero, man. And I'm so jealous of that guy.
I know. He hits a huge three at the end of this game. It's just like it deflates the team. But I don't know. Derrick Rose looked good, man. He looked good. And, the interesting thing is they got four teams in front of them. They're all under 500. The Knicks are in the 9th spot right now. They're going to be probably dealing around this area the rest of the season, and maybe they'll sneak in and they'll make the playoffs, which would be a nice little nod to Coach Thibodeau. And I don't know, it was a really intense game last night, which I appreciated. That was the thing. It just, the only thing that was missing was Jeff Van Gundy hanging off of Alonzo Mourning's leg.
Sure, and the Knicks winning the game and R.J. Barrett finishing it off, and man, that was a stand-up moment for me as I was watching it. Stand up off the couch, wanting him to make that, being, hanging on that layup, and then, of course, it not going down was so frustrating, and it pissed me off. Because it was a great drive, and I love the fact that the ball was in his hands, and I love the fact that he was doing, R.J. Barrett, in the final seconds, he was doing what he's good at, which is going to the basket and driving and going up with the left hand, as opposed to, shooting threes or things that he needs to get better at. And I was like, this is great. Great young player who's got to be the Knicks' next superstar with the ball in his hands, with the game on the line, driving against Jimmy Butler, who's known as a great defender. And he didn't finish, and that sucked. But still, this is real basketball. This is basketball we can be proud of as Knicks fans. And even in losses like that, that frustrated feeling after losses is something we haven't had in a long time. The last couple of years, more than the last couple of years, losses for the Knicks were ho-hum. Look how bad they are. They're getting blown out. This is pathetic. Now losses are like, damn it, that's a missed opportunity. Oh, we're slipping out of the 8th seed. Oh, they played well, though. Oh, they got to get a little bit better at that. And that's something that I appreciate. But as the season goes on, I want to continue to see improvements, and I want to really see them make a run at the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And, the way that Julius Randle's come back this year, the way that R.J. Barrett is, elevating and getting better, the way that Emmanuel Quickley has basically caught everybody off guard and by storm. I do like the fact that Derrick Rose is back. He wanted to be here. He and Thibodeau obviously have a great relationship. He'll help Emmanuel Quickley. Where's Kevin Knox? He's buried on the bench. I mean, that's a sad thing. But I don't know. Last night just felt like it was a really intense basketball game, and it was like, all right, the Knicks wanted to win the game because they lost the previous one to them. I think Miami's 10-15 right now. I think the Knicks are like 11-15. If they don't lose these two games, maybe they're 13-13 and they're back to 500, man. But if you give me effort like that and you play like that, and I know the bar's set low because the Knicks don't have the superstar player and all that other stuff. It wasn't an embarrassment. I mean, it was a hard fought game, and they wanted to win it. And I bet you Thibodeau said before the game started that, look, man, we got to win this game. We got to go out and win this game. And they played like they wanted to win the game. And that's something that we have not seen. Until Thibodeau has gotten here. We've seen a lot of lazy basketball. We've seen a lot of bad basketball. We've seen a lot of bad decisions by the front office. We've seen a lot of laziness in the front office. And that's the thing that drives you crazy. But last night, and this season for that matter, as it has unfolded, you can see and you can feel that there is a positive change, which is something that, I'll get back into as long as they continue to play the way they're playing and playing like they care and they want to do something special. So I don't know. I don't know about you, but last night, for me anyway, I know it was a loss and it was a little rough the way that it ended, but I just felt like for 4 quarters they were playing their asses off. Yeah,
and also anybody who was trepidatious about Derrick Rose coming back and joining this team, think about the story that the second he joins a team, he reaches out to R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley and says, give me your cell phone numbers right now. We're going to hang out. I'm going to teach you about things, and I'm going to be a mentor. There's a lot of guys who are veterans in sports where we all want them to act that way, but they don't. I mean, they could come in and be like, listen, I'm going to take the minutes. I've been around. These young bucks can go somewhere else. I don't care. I am the big dog around, and I don't care what they think, and I'm not here to mentor. That's the coach's job. Derrick Rose came over and said, no, I want to make sure that I could do everything I can as a mentor for these young stars, and I'm going, or hopefully they turn into stars, these young guys that hopefully turn into stars, and I want to be here and I want to be a mentor. So that's a credit to Thibodeau as well, because he's bringing in this guy. He's vouching for Derrick Rose. He's saying that he's not only going to help us this year and at the end of games or with scoring, but he's also going to help mold some of the younger players. So, yeah, listen, there's a lot of positive there. I understand they're still losing more games than they're winning, but this is, I'll say it every single time because I don't think it can be emphasized enough. This is the first time in a long time that you're looking forward to Knicks games and you're passionately involved in the way that they're playing and you're proud of the way that they are playing. It's the first time in a long time I can say all those things every time I put on the game.
Yeah, I will say it was ugly uniform night last night, though.
Of course,
just horrific. Oh, my God.
I know.
I mean, it really was horrific. Now, about Russell Wilson. Like I told you yesterday, talking to him on Sunday, he was pretty wide open about it, and I don't know if he was booked on Dan Patrick beforehand or not. I don't know if Dan heard us talking about it. I don't know. Where the information came from leading to the question and all that other stuff. But it just goes to show you that, we were accurate yesterday when I was telling you about this. And I believe, when you have a quarterback, and I know Russell's great, and I love Russell, you do, and you talk about man of the year, you talk about 8 Pro Bowls, you talk about being the face of a franchise, winning Super Bowls and all that other stuff. But coming out publicly and saying, I want to be a part of the decision-making again, much like Deshaun Watson's trying to do in Houston, man, front offices don't like that. Coaches don't like that stuff, man.
Well,
they will not say anything publicly about it because it just antagonizes the player and the relationship and the intensity. And, he was not happy that Brian Schottenheimer was fired and let go. And now they bring in another guy and he's going to learn his system, whatever it is. But I'm just telling you, that Russell's agents are in there and they are looking for a contract extension, even though that probably hasn't come out yet. He could opt out here after next year. And if he does, then he's going to be looking for that $40 million payday. And he may actually be the guy that could be the next Tom Brady and go somewhere else and elevate that team. I believe he's as committed to his craft as Brady is. I don't know if the style of play that he plays will be as effective 5 years from now as it is or as it was maybe 3 years ago. And I think that kind of falls off a little bit just natural that, you got to stand in the pocket and you got to throw it. Running quarterbacks don't last 15 years in the league. They just don't. So, these are questions that I'm sure are in front of Pete Carroll and I think it's John Schneider out there and trying to figure out what to do with their quarterback and whether or not they will trade him because I just don't see them paying him $40 million a year.
Right. So I thought that Russell Wilson said more yesterday to try to get himself out of Seattle than Deshaun Watson has said publicly to get himself out of Houston. I really do believe that Russell Wilson was doing the same type of thing. And he did it in a way that was very subtle. But if you take what the point of what he was saying was, he went after 2 different parts of the organization that you only go after when you want out, which is management and your teammates. And he not only said that he wished he had more control and he should be consulted on personnel decisions, but he also said that he was getting hit too much and was in a roundabout way saying that the guys around him weren't doing a good enough job of keeping him healthy and keeping him upright.
So I will take you back, and I will when I get back in the studio, I'll show you game tape of Russell Wilson.
And he's holding on to the ball too long.
Right, exactly. And I'll show you where it's an offensive lineman's fault or a running back doesn't pick up a blitz or maybe a tight end gets beat by an outside edge rusher. I'll show you those. But then I'll show you where there are guys running open and where you got to plant your foot and you got to let it go. You got to know where the defense is and you got to know what's going on. Now, he is a spectacular player. He's an exciting player. He like Deshaun Watson, could have a 500-yard game any game. But then again, he like Deshaun Watson could end up getting sacked 7 times in a game. because they hold on to the ball. And, for whatever reason, as a quarterback, I understand this. Do I want a higher completion percentage, or do I want to give up more sacks? Back when I played, it wasn't about the completion percentage. It was about don't take sacks and throw the ball away. And, it was always about, just get rid of the ball, try not to take a sack, And obviously, don't turn the ball over. Nowadays, because of the prevalence of everybody looking at completion percentage, a lot of these guys end up holding onto the ball and running with it, or, taking a sack. And the sack, in the minds of fans who don't really understand the game, is the offensive line's fault. When I've told you guys 1,000 times, there are times where the offensive line gets beat up, and we saw that in the Super Bowl. I could show you 10 different plays in the Super Bowl where the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs was completely overwhelmed by a 4-man rush, no less, and Patrick Mahomes had to run for his life. So I could show you those. But then again, I can also show you games where a guy just will not pull the trigger, and he'll end up running with the football or get sacked behind the line of scrimmage holding on to the football. And, you'll hear the announcer going, oh, well, the offensive line is really struggling, and it just drives me nuts that the quarterback does not get the amount of criticism when they are not adhering to their responsibility, and that's getting rid of the football and not creating a bad play.
So here we are now again with another big-name quarterback who may be available. Now, Russell Wilson, when asked about that directly from Dan Patrick, he said, that's not a question for me. That is a question for the Seahawks if I'm available. He could have very easily said, I hope I'm not available. I mean, my goodness, I want to end my career in Seattle. He did not say that. Also, Brandon Marshall said publicly on Fox Sports 1 yesterday that Russell Wilson is beyond frustrated and, quote, Russell Wilson is trying to figure out how to move on in a classy way. That's what I truly believe, end quote, from Brandon Marshall. So if you don't think that something's going on now, then you are completely lost. The next question is, how involved would the Jets be in something like this? I don't think the Giants would be involved. How involved would the Jets be in something like this? And to me, the answer to that, and tell me if I'm wrong, is the Jets are going to be as involved as the Deshaun Watson situation allows them to be. So if Deshaun Watson is truly available and truly going to get traded before the season, then the Jets are going to do everything they can to make sure that he ends up with them. If for whatever reason Deshaun Watson doesn't end up in any other uniform or a deal is worked out with the Dolphins or somewhere else, then I believe that the Jets have to do whatever they can to then go out and get Russell Wilson.
Especially with the reports about the Jets listening for offers about, Sam Darnold.
Yep.
So, these are all things that, this is the craziest NFL offseason I think I can remember already, just with the amount of rumors that are out there. And unhappy
well, I hope
players.
some stuff actually happens, though.
Well, we'll have Carson Wentz will be moved here.
Yeah.
I don't know when, but hopefully this week sometime. I think teams are kind of balking at what the Philadelphia Eagles want. I don't know what they're smoking down in Philadelphia, but whoever gets Carson Wentz, they're getting a player that it needs to
damaged.
Yeah, right. He needs to be mentally fixed. And he's got to find his confidence, and he's got to find his game, and that's why for me anyway. If somebody said to me, what's the best situation for Carson Wentz? For me, the best situation for Carson Wentz is to go to Indianapolis. That's by far the best place I think for him. And the second best place for him would be San Francisco, but I don't necessarily know that they have interest in Carson Wentz. I know the Bears have interest in Carson Wentz. I do not like him going to the Bears because I think the Bears are not a great offensive team, and everybody can say that's Trubisky's fault. I just think I don't know. It's the way the Bears are built. I don't like their offensive line. They're probably going to end up losing Allen Robinson, and I don't think that's a great fit. I just do, and I know John DeFilippo. You remember him?
Of course.
He was the quarterback coach, who probably, supported the bringing in of Nick Foles in Chicago. How'd that work out?
Horribly. I mean, he had one miracle Foles game, and then fell off the face of the earth and ended up getting hurt.
He had a Miracle Foles game coming off the bench.
Yep.
Which is what he should be doing, not starting for 16 games and not expecting to start for 16 games. So certain guys have a certain kind of way about them that, they carry themselves that way, and I think Nick Foles is one of those guys. But I don't know. This is crazy. It's crazy quarterback times right now. So and I told you yesterday, all this stuff that you keep bringing up about these, the Dan Patrick Show and Brandon Martin, it's just accentuating what we talked about yesterday and what these guys are not talking about. What they need to be talking about, the real issue here, I'm telling you, is Russell Wilson wants a new contract.
And the Seattle Seahawks may be a little bit nervous about giving him that new contract and that money with the way that it's worked out recently and the way that last season ended.
And this is why I'd rather have Deshaun Watson with the 4-year contract. At least I know for the next 4 years what I'm paying him, what's going on. And if he really plays well, he's still young enough where I can give him a second big contract. For Deshaun, it would be the third, but for me as the Jets, it would be the second big contract because he's only 25 years of age. So just know that it's always about the money. They'll never talk about the money, but it's always about the money. And looking at Russell Wilson's contract, looking at his success, looking at the things that he had said during this year, I'm telling you that he wants a new contract. And I'm telling you that John Schneider's looking at his cap going, you know what? If we're going to trade Russell Wilson, this may be the best time to trade him where we can receive the most back for him, and then he can become somebody else's headache when it comes to a new contract that I'm sure that he wants. I can almost feel it. That's why, he's saying what he's saying about the offensive line, and he's saying what he's saying about, I don't know, that's a decision for Seattle to make whether I'm there, but if I am there, I want to be a part of the decision-making moving forward. No, it doesn't work that way. At least in the NFL, it doesn't work that way.
Well, the NFL now, we saw the NBA and the power that the players have in the NBA to, especially the star players, to go where they want to go. We're now seeing that in the NFL, and we're seeing it at the most important position in the NFL with quarterback. I mean, you think about, all right, Matt Stafford wanted out. Carson Wentz, I believe it's not only the Eagles that want to move on. I think Carson Wentz wants to move on as well. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers kind of walked back his statements, but we're starting to see that, and we've already seen it with other players as well, like Jalen Ramsey and Jamal Adams. So this whole thing is happening where players are dictating their futures to the organizations in the NFL now more than ever.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.